Hello, everyone. Welcome to VerbatUm. It's so nice to be here with you guys again. And we're really happy that you've joined us. I'm finding myself looking forward to these every week. It's really nice to see you guys. It's a lot of work, but we're really happy to be able to do it and come together and hear from you guys. Please be active in the chat. Let us know what your thoughts are, because it's a really great time for us to connect. So it's really great to have you guys. Welcome as people come on board. Again, my name is Paula, and I've worked in the interpretation industry for, gosh, if I count when I first started interpreting, over 30 years. And I've worked as an interpreter as well as in administrative roles. I've worked as a simultaneous interpreter of Brazilian Portuguese and English, um, and just been able to touch on a lot of different roles, which has been really great to kind of understand what's going on in the industry right now. And joining me today is the lovely Ina, as ever. So, Ina, I'm going to turn it over to you so you can introduce yourself.
Thank you, Paula. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our, I don't know what is fourth stream.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you joining us, and for the ones that come every week, thank you for your support, and for the ones that are here for first time, welcome. My name is Ina. I am originally from Belarus. One interesting fact about that although I'm from that country, I do not speak the language of that country because when I left, it was still part of the Soviet Union and everybody was required to speak Russian. So that's what I learned to speak. My language pair is Russian English. And just like Paula, I've been in interpreting industry for a long time. Not as many years as Paula, but a long time. And just like Paula, I started as an interpreter and then moved on to various administrative roles. And many of you may have known me from one of the previous companies that we worked for together. And I was a manager of the education and training department. So again, welcome to our stream. We're going to cover a lot of useful information. We're going to try to make it shorter than previous sessions because we know that it may be very early for some of you and maybe very late for some of you. So we're going to try to accommodate it.
Absolutely. And you know what? Before we jump in here, let's just do a little bit of housekeeping, and just let you guys know again that, whether you're new here, or you've been coming but haven't subscribed yet, please, please just take a minute to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, turn on your notifications so that you don't miss any of our updates. And if you haven't done so yet, please fill out our form, that will allow you to get a free month with VerbatUm. We'd love to have you sign up. We'd love to have you join us. And yeah, that's it. So as we get started, there's a couple of things I wanted to talk to you guys about. And to start off, let's talk a little bit about the Google form. That will be available at the end of the live stream in the description. For those of you who haven't done it yet, we are extending it an extra month. I'm sorry, not an extra month, an extra week before our launch, for the first of the month, the 1st of March. So I think that we have some really exciting things coming your way. I think you guys know that. And we see that really reflected in the comments that you guys have added to the form. And I'm just going to share a few of them with you guys. We were really, really happy to read these. So, in regards to the membership and franchise opportunity, we received this comment: just what I needed. It's comprehensive. I see it growing very steadily, firmly, and quickly. I'd love to partner up with you and become a more specialized interpreter to stand out and add value to my career on a regular basis. So I was really happy for this comment, and we're really excited for it too, right, Ina?
Yes, very excited. Yes, it's always fun to read
Yes,
all of your kind comments, guys. We really welcome all the
absolutely.
feedback that we can get. Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then we had this comment that said the pay structures, talking about the industry, are unfair. Some agencies offer $19 an hour with zero benefits and no guaranteed minutes, while on-site interpreters are paid far more. If I have to operate as an LLC and cover my own costs, I should not be expected to accept such low rates. Fair compensation should reflect the cost of doing business as an independent contractor. And that's absolutely, I thought that was a really, really smart
Mhm.
comment. Someone who really understands the industry and understands what's going on.
Yes, I agree. I mean, our profession is very stressful. When I always say when I was training my trainees, I always said that we are as interpreters, we're expected to know a lot of things. You may be interpreting for a cardiologist, then you're interpreting for an eye doctor or a dentist,
Mhm.
and you're expected to know all the medical terms, whereas each individual doctor only knows their own specialty. So
Yeah.
it's very stressful situation, and the compensation is nowhere near where it's supposed to be. So it's very obvious that this industry is not treating interpreters correctly, where we are the bone of this industry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, in regards to AI and its role in interpretation, AI can never replace human interpreters. It struggles with low quality audio, slang, speech impediments, and cultural nuances. Beyond that, interpreting is more than just words, it's about empathy. AI might improve, but it won't replace the human connection that interpreters provide. And that is so true. So, so very true. And even in terms of, what you can do with AI, there's, I mean, a lot that you can do with it. But I've been playing around with it a bit, trying to get a better understanding of it. And what I notice is it takes a lot of back and forth, a lot of correcting and no, that's not what I meant. This is what I meant. No, this isn't what I'm asking. This is what I'm asking. And so it does work really well. It's a great tool, but it takes so much back and forth, and that's not something that someone who speaks another language, especially older people, who aren't used to dealing with this sort of thing, that's not something that's easily done. And Ina, I think you have, some great insights on that.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Paula. I was just telling Paula that I took my dad to the doctor recently, and they insisted on having an interpreter, even though I was there and I said that I'm a certified interpreter and I can do it for him. According to regulations, they have to have an interpreter. And everything went fine this time. But when we were going home, I asked my dad, can you imagine if they connected the machine and there was no one there? It was just the AI speaking to you as a robot. Would you be able to be comfortable and understand what's going on? And he said absolutely not. So my dad is an older gentleman, and that's what Paula said. With older people, I don't think it's going to work because they're not as technologically advanced, and there's just simply no human touch that is so necessary for older patients.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of interpreters, can identify with this. Just from my years of interpreting, a lot of times the people we interpret for, they don't feel very comfortable speaking up or advocating for themselves. I remember as an interpreter, it always was surprising to me how a lot of times the provider would say something to the patient and I would interpret it, and you could tell that the patient didn't really understand what was going on. They understood the
Mhm.
words, but they really didn't understand the diagnosis or what was happening to them. And I could tell that a lot of times they just felt really uncomfortable with speaking up. But because there was someone there who, spoke their language and was part of their culture, sometimes after a few back and forths, they would say, "Oh, is it okay if I ask a question?" Right? Like they would be very timid. And it was, and as interpreters, we can't answer the questions, but it would take oftentimes them feeling comfortable enough to ask the interpreter a question to say, "Hey, can you help me with this?" And of course, as an interpreter, you redirect that to the provider. You say, "This is the interpreter speaking. Give me a moment." to explain to the patient that they need to ask you the question, not the interpreter, but this is what they asked me. And you do all the necessary clarifications in that case. But I remember that oftentimes with a lot of the people I was interpreting for, they did not have the courage to tell the doctor what they, to ask the question, or if they disagreed with something, or if they didn't understand something. They really did use the interpreter being there as someone that they could feel comfortable enough to speak up. And I think that that's something that will be a problem if we transition more and more into AI, because people won't feel like they have someone that they can ask. They're not going to ask the AI, and they're not going to catch maybe the mistakes that are happening or the misunderstandings that are happening, because it's not a human being. So
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
it's concerning. It's concerning.
Exactly. And
Um, and
if I want to add something else, Paula.
Mhm.
Just speaking of culture and nuances, particularly in my language, a lot of times when I was interpreting, um, as I mentioned, so Soviet Union before had different. Republics that are now separate countries, but before everybody spoke Russian, but at the same time they spoke different language of their republic. So a lot of times, what I encounter is people that came from former Soviet republics, even though they spoke their own language, they always requested Russian. Even though they may
Mm,
not understand and speak fluently, they always requested Russian interpreter because it's faster. And
yeah,
I had hard time understanding, and I just don't see how AI would be able to catch that. And
mhm,
like Paula said, if that misunderstanding happens, some patients just won't voice voice their opinion and voice to the doctors that they don't understand what is going on. They will just carry on, and it may be
yeah,
very bad consequence of that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, there's a lot of consequences. Even I remember one of the cases. Now that you're mentioning that, I had a situation where I was interpreting for a gentleman, and I worked the night shift, so I would get the same people, the same calls, right, throughout the night, because there weren't that many calls. And I remember I got a call, and I had interpreted for the gentleman a couple times. And then I was called again, like the 3rd or 4th time I had been called for that particular gentleman, and they were discharging him. And as I was giving him, interpreting the discharge instructions, I could tell that he was slurring his speech. And I could tell that he seemed confused, whereas every other time I had interpreted for him, he was really sharp. He really understood what was happening. Like, he was, well spoken. And it was like speaking to a completely different person, but I knew it was the same person. It was the same nurse. It was the same, she said his name. And because I had been called so many times for him, I knew it was, and it was video. Um, and I was like, something's wrong. And so I said to the nurse, I said, this is the interpreter speaking. And obviously she had been talking to me on and off the whole night. And I said, this is the interpreter speaking. Um, the patient is speaking back to me, and I can understand what he's saying, but he's slurring his speech, and he seems very confused, because I had been interpreting everything he was saying, but she wasn't catching on that it wasn't making a lot of sense. And so when I said that, she said, "Really?" So she said, "Well, okay, so, let's ask a few questions." And so she did what year is it? Who's the president? What country are you in? And he couldn't answer the questions. And she said, "You know what? We're gonna get him to neurology." And he had had a stroke, and they were discharging him with a stroke.
Mhm.
And he had come in not feeling well, and he had just kind of progressively gotten, I guess, worse and worse. And that last time they called, it was really apparent. And I just think about that, something like that, like, do we really think that AI would go, "Oh, yeah, this person is speaking a little bit more slurred. They must, something's wrong." Or if it's just going to interpret what the person's saying, and if the provider doesn't catch that something's off, then the provider doesn't catch that something's off. So
Right.
there's just a lot that can go wrong, and
Mhm.
that was something that, I always remembered, because, the hospital contacted the company I worked for and was like, they sent me a certificate because they said, because you advocated in this situation, this person is alive. We were going to send them home. They may not have survived. And like, it was like something that, because I was aware, because I was paying attention, I was able to pick up on. I don't know that these AI solutions would pick up on something like that. And I don't think that a lot of companies are thinking about all of these different
Mm-hmm.
cases and how they go. So yeah, great comment there. Another comment we got in regards to advocacy and holding companies accountable. And they're talking about VerbatUm here, saying that VerbatUm is the only company that sees interpreters as people and not just labor. We need fair wages, career growth, and vendors who actually care about us as professionals. AI won't replace us anytime soon, but companies will try to underpay us if we don't stand up for fair compensation. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm thank you so much for this. It really touched my heart because I think you're able to really see that we really do care about interpreters. We really are doing this because we believe that the industry needs it. We believe that for too long, interpreters have been neglected. And like Ina said, you guys are the backbone of this industry. Um, the industry needs you, the patients need you, the hospitals need you, and it just doesn't make sense how
Mm-hmm.
interpreters are being treated. And you know, we're here to do whatever we can do to try and make that better. So, and then the last one, last but not least, for training and career growth, I love this initiative. There are so many interpreters who think just speaking two languages is enough. We need more training, better education, and courses that actually teach interpreters how to handle difficult situations, set boundaries, and act professionally. And yeah, I think that it's really, really clear that, interpreters are ready for change, for fair pay, for real job stability, respect, and that's what we're trying to build here. So that's just a little bit of what we're hearing from you guys. Again, if you haven't signed that form yet to get the free month trial, please sign that form. We know you guys are going to be so happy with everything we're putting together for you. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Ina, who's going to talk a little bit about some of our advocacy initiatives. And Ina, I think I need to put your slide up, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Um,
Here we
Thank
go.
you, Paula. And
You're welcome.
today, guys, I want to discuss the part of our advocacy program that will specifically focus on interpreter self-care and individual support. We all know that interpreting can be very lonely profession. Most of us work from home, and most of the time it's just us and our equipment, right? But at the same time, we are often in very stressful situations. We're exposed to emotionally challenging scenarios and situations, which sometimes require us to make very quick decisions. And we don't have a luxury of knocking on supervisors' doors and asking what to do, asking for advice. A lot of us have supervisors, all of us have supervisors, remote supervisors, who are a lot of times are not available for hours or even days at a time. So that all creates a lot of stress, puts a lot of stress on our personal lives and our professional lives, and it affects our performance. And that's why we are here to help you with our advocacy program. And we are going to do it with care sessions and specialty sessions and interpreter community. We will conduct monthly care sessions where we will create a safe space for you to join and discuss any challenging situations that may have happened to you during the interpretation encounters. You can come in and share, of course, within the parameters of HIPAA. You can come in and share, what happened during interpretation, just like we did here with Paula right now, and gather insights from your colleagues and industry experts, and get advice from your peers on how they would handle the situation. And in turn, it's going to improve your decision making and problem solving skills, because if this situation happens to you in the future, you will know what to do, and you're not going to stress about it so much, and think what, how this supervisor is going to react in the situation. We are also going to conduct specialty sessions where we're going to invite industry experts, some nurses, doctors, experienced interpreters, and you can join and get insights about the industry from these experts and ask questions. So you will be able to expand your knowledge of specialized medical terminology and different procedures. And with this, you will be able to enhance your accuracy in specialized areas. And finally, we're going to create an interpreter community for you. Like I said, our goal is to not make you feel so lonely, because there are many of interpreters around, but yet we are, feel lonely and isolated. So our interpreter community purpose of it is to for you to be able to connect with your peers, with your colleagues, and you will be able to do it through our LMS, learning management system. You will be able to talk, communicate, exchange experiences and best practices. And like we mentioned in previous live streams, you will have access as our member. You will have access to different courses that will be on our LMS. I think we set the package of 6 courses. 2 of them will remain the same every year, and 4 courses will be different from year to year. And these courses will, of course, help you with your professional development, with your career goals, with your continuing education, and all the necessary certification. So again, our goal here is to help you feel not lonely, and help you um, advance in your professional career, and ask questions, and communicate and develop further.
Yeah, yeah, and I think one of the really, really cool things that we're working on, is to be able to have those of you who are members, use the app where you can chat with each other on your phones through the, LMS app. So that's something that's really, really exciting. And I think that's going to be just a game changer. We've all done it. We're all interpreters. We know what it's like to be part of multiple WhatsApp groups and multiple, Facebook groups, and trying to stay connected and and we just need a centralized location where everybody can get together and talk and support each other and help each other through this. So that's something we're really excited about. Um, so yeah, thank you, Ina. And now we're going to talk a little bit more about the advocacy portion of verbatim. It's not coming up. Let's see what's going on here. Hmm. Oh, slide doesn't want to come up, but that's okay. That's okay. So let's see. Let's see if I can get this. Give me a second, guys. While I'm trying to pull this up, one thing that does come to mind also when you were talking, Ina, about all of the things that interpreters deal with and go through, I think it's important to also remember that, especially as more and more interpreters are expected to, as companies are kind of downsizing the amount of US-based interpreters and sending all of these interpreters over to all of these vendor companies and BPOs, we can really expect to see a lot of back-to-back-to-back calls, right? More and more
Mhm.
back-to-back calls. Ideally, interpreters should not interpret for more than 4 hours, 4 consecutive hours without a break. And I I know that a lot of companies, especially with vendors, don't adhere to that. And that's really scary because, as we all know, interpreting is a very mentally taxing activity. And for you to have interpreters who are performing optimally, they really shouldn't be on the line for more than 4 hours without being able to step away, go get a drink of water, go take a break, relax, recharge, and then come back and start interpreting again. And they shouldn't have back to back to back calls where you hang up the phone and it's already ringing, and you don't even have a minute to debrief and to rest and to kind of process, especially when we're on these calls that are maybe end of life calls, or giving someone a really scary diagnosis, or we deal with so many different calls, physical abuse, there's just so many things, right? Sexual abuse, um, and to expect you to go from call to call to call, without any support is just really unethical, and unfortunately
Mhm.
it's something that is happening. And the more interpreters are sent to vendors and BPOs, and the more companies try to reduce the amount of US-based interpreters because of the Fair Labor Act, um, the more you're going to be hit with these back-to-back calls. So I think that this is something that's going to be really important for interpreters.
Agree.
You're right. And so, as part of all of this, just kind of trying, just kind of giving you guys a better idea of how all of this ties together, because sometimes it's hard to see the big picture. With advocacy initiatives, one of the things that's really important to us is to work towards fair pay and job stability. We know how important that is to you guys, and that's also part of our advocacy platform. Many of you have shared your frustrations with low pay. I read somebody this week on LinkedIn talking about how they were being offered, I think it was like $3 or $4 an hour, when they speak three languages and they
Mhm.
interpret for three languages. And I was just flabbergasted to read that. And the reality is that a lot of companies are offering very low pay, unstable work conditions. And so we're really committed to advocating for that, to advocating for better compensation, job stability, and real career growth. And then, of course, there is the situation with AI, which we are actively working to find avenues where we can partner with other organizations, to ensure that more work is done towards legislative support on that, as well as legislative support to hold companies accountable. Interpreters are not just gig workers. Interpreters aren't, customer service agents that you can just put in front of a screen with a script and have them just read along on a script. We are highly trained professionals, especially in the area of medical interpretation, who play a critical role in communication and in healthcare. And so we're really going to be working hard to push for these changes and for finding ways that we can hold companies accountable to ensure fair treatment, and really ethical standards. And the reality is that the only way we can do that, that we have found that makes any sense, is with the four pillars that we have here at VerbatUm. If we try to do any one of these things on its own, we've seen that already. There's multiple companies out there that have tried to do just one thing, either just offering education and training, or just offering advocacy, or just offering membership. And the reality is that a lot of these organizations have been around for 10, 20, 30 years, and yet things have gotten as bad as they have gotten. And so we really do believe that it is through the membership and the education and training courses and the franchise opportunities and the advocacy and the teaming up with other LSPs and vendors and hospitals. When we bring all of those things together, and you as the interpreters come into this organization, and we have a large group of interpreters in one place, that really is what will make the difference. Because as Ina was saying, even in terms of our mental health and our care, interpreters are isolated, interpreters are alone. And that is what has allowed the industry to make these decisions, and unless we come together, that they're going to continue to do these things. They're not going to stop, because we complain or because we're upset. They're going to stop when it is no longer in their best interest to do it, and that starts with us coming together. So this is just the beginning of what we're trying to do, the changes we're trying to bring, and we can only do it if we're partnered together because Ina and I, we can't do it on our own, but we can do it if we work together. So I don't, that's just how it goes. I see that there's some comments here. Let's see.
I wanted to add something,
Yeah.
Paula, to
Mhm.
what you said. I think, we think here that our strength is in our numbers.
Mhm.
Yeah, there are many of us upset about what's going on, but
Yeah.
there is but unless we do something about it collectively, things are not going to change, because
Yeah.
you may be upset, and you may be, saying, I'm not going to do it anymore, I'm just going to quit. And guess what, if somebody, you quit, and if somebody, there's always somebody to replace you, right, who is not
Yeah.
agreeing with this philosophy. So the more of you, or the more of us that are joining the company, joining this movement, the more we have chance to change things.
Yeah. Absolutely. 100%. And so as we kind of um, march towards that goal, we're working on a lot of things behind the scenes. We're working on our courses that we're really excited to share with you guys soon. Like I said, the learning platform, the app where you'll be able to communicate with each other. And one of the things that we're working on that we will be launching next week, once everything is finalized, is our website, but we thought we would give you guys just a little sneak peek um, uh, on the website. So we have a little video here showing verbatim, and we will have places for interpreters, for LSPs. We'll have spaces for hospitals and other clients. And we've worked really hard to put this together and to make it a place where you feel that you are heard, where you feel you are supported, and where you feel that you have a voice and that you matter, because the reality is that you do matter. And there's so much more in this industry for you. There's so much room to grow. It just takes having people who believe in you, and it takes you believing in yourself, you believing that you deserve better. Like Ina said, unless we do this collectively, it doesn't work. But it really does. You really do need to believe that as an interpreter, you deserve better than what the industry has done, and that you are able to change the environment. Um, each of us, we're just one person, but together with that collective, if we come together, we can make a difference and we can change the trajectory that the industry is going in right now. So, you know, let's do it. Let's join the movement. So I think that's really what we wanted to talk to you guys about today. We're at 33 minutes. I'm so proud.
Yes.
We've been working really
Much
hard
better.
to try and get the minutes down. We don't want to keep you guys too long. Um, and again, next week we're going to have some really exciting things to share with you guys. We're really grateful that you guys have joined us today. And I'll let Ina, if you want to join in here, but I will be putting up our subscribe, like, share, hit the notification button, reminder on again, please. It's free for everyone, but it means the world to us because it means that you'll be able to see the content more and more often. We'll get it to start spreading. There are so many interpreters out there that don't know about what we're doing yet, that haven't heard about it yet. But with your help, we will get it to them. So thank you so much for joining us, Ina. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with Paula. Do you have? I don't have access to the chat or anything, so maybe if you have access to put the link to the
Yes,
form. I
yes,
don't know
yes.
why I'm
Add the
not
form in the
able
chat,
to.
and I'll add it to the description of the
Hmm.
video, as well as on LinkedIn, and we'll make sure that that form gets out there to you guys.
Yes, so again, thank you very much for joining us, and we're in it together. So stay tuned for information about the next one.
Thank you guys. Have a good one. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye.